need to find this place or we'll be late.
Make a left on Astrology Avenue. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant right. It should be right here. 444 Spearway. Oh, turn.
It looks like Renee. Yay, we're on time.
The James and Kellee Show.
Great, let's start the show.
Oh my God.
Don't ask.
Okay, buddy. I'm sorry that we had a 15-minute delay. Between the eclipse and Mercury Gandanta, we had a problem. And it was, you okay, honey?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm talking to a fruit bowl right now, but that's okay.
Oh my God. James was having trouble getting on for anything he did. It just didn't work.
It didn't work. The phone didn't work. The two computers didn't work. The studio I have didn't work. It's brand new. So I finally got on my phone here, and I'm speaking to you from the phone, which is in a fruit bowl. I'm not
Oh
so
my God.
Forgive the angle.
Yeah.
Wow, what a day.
Well, it was a very powerful day with this eclipse, total eclipse.
Yeah, nothing works. Nothing seems to work.
Yeah, and I've been talking about that Gandanta point, and that really is where we are with this at this exact time. Exactly, Gandanta. It's Gandanta, and Gandanta is that degree, and happens to be in Mercury. Mercury controls communication. It controls our devices, our computers, our phones, all kinds of things. Electrical. It controls all of that. And so right now it's at a Gandanta point, which is between a fire sign, Aries, and moving into Pisces as we speak at this exact moment. So when
Can
that
you see
happens,
me okay, Kellee?
I can see you just fine, and I can hear you, which is really great. But this was, what an incredible day. I mean, this eclipse knocked a lot of people out. I thought it was incredibly awe-inspiring and unbelievable, and what an incredible experience to have today. Really was amazing.
I received a lot of photos of people from all over the country with all different views of the solar eclipse. So it was pretty amazing.
It was really amazing. Gosh.
Now, were you in Wisconsin? You couldn't see it, correct?
Yeah. Well, we saw 86%.
Oh, I saw your video.
Yeah, we did it. And it was just, to me, it looked like a little piece of somebody was eating cheese or something. Of course, in Wisconsin, what else am I going to think?
Right.
But it was just extraordinary. For everybody, my daughter experienced it in the totality in Fort Worth. And she said, Mom, I became very emotional. I started to cry.
Really?
A lot of people did. A lot of people did. It was really, it's a big experience if you think about it for all of humanity.
I've heard a lot of people having sudden falls, sudden attacks. One person I know found a mass on their head, inside their head, that they had to get operated on. A lot of sudden, like you mentioned earlier last week, sudden changes, sudden, things that happen all of a sudden, unexpected things.
Well, in fact, one of our people that watch our show, somebody tried to break into her house on Saturday night at 3 a.m. And it also happened to my sister-in-law and my own sister. The alarm went off at 3 a.m. with a fire in the building. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of odd things that will happen during this period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. How long does this go on for, Kellee?
Well, I'm going to tell you for the next 3 days at least, because we are in that period of time during Gandanta, and it's the eclipse and then 3 days after. But in actuality, and the energy will get better, frankly, at around the 15th of April. But right now it is pretty fierce because we also have Mercury retrograde, and that's going to be in retrograde until the 25th. And it's in Pisces in Vedic astrology, and that makes it complicated because it's weak. And Mercury retrograde, let me just tell you, Mercury governs communication and the way we think and technology and travel. So if you are traveling right now from the eclipse or to the eclipse at home, delays, and problems with, there's been a lot of mechanical problems with planes, James.
Yeah,
so
cars also mechanical problems, the parts speaking to one another. So there's a lot of cars on the side of the road, a lot of construction on the side of the road, a lot of that stuff happens.
Yes. Right? Well, it's interesting too, because in Vedic astrology, when a planet is retrograde, it means that it's more powerful because it's really slowed down so much. So the energy of that just kind of holds itself and it gets very powerful. So it's during this time that we always advise not a great time to buy a computer, not a great time to buy a car, not a good time to buy appliances, because you could miss, certain details of things. So it's really just it's a tricky time.
Yeah.
And I have to say that Mercury retrograde is not all bad. I mean, right now we're going to experience it at a very intense time because of the eclipse and the Gandanta degree. But it's not a bad thing, because Mercury retrograde gives us a time to go back and redo, reassess, reflect, renew, revise, rethink. I mean, it's got anything you can put an RE in front of, it really does for us, brings us back. So, and also what happens during Mercury retrograde, you hear from people that you may not want to hear from, and they come back into your life. Old people come back into your life. So
old memories, old experiences, old things. Yeah.
Yes, so true. And I just want to mention that on April 9th and 10th, we have a conjunction with Mars and Saturn, and that's tomorrow and the next day. And it's in Aquarius in Vedic astrology. And Mars and Saturn are enemies. They're bitter enemies. Mars is like stepping on the gas, and Saturn is stepping on the brake.
Right.
And so the friction of the next 2 days will be intense, and it could people could have accidents. So you really want to, be real mindful in all of your decisions and all the things that you do. Be mindful, because this kind of energy, this kind of friction, it involves like impatience, and people can be frustrated easily, and that can go to violence. So you really want to make sure that you are really in a calm place in the next couple of days with this kind of intense energy, along with the eclipse energy.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah, I was just living this out 10 minutes ago.
Oh, poor James. This was a hard one. I know.
On 3 computers, they all didn't work. 3 computers.
Nothing worked, everybody. So thanks, everybody, for standing by. And we have our wonderful guest who was waiting patiently all the way from Sydney, Australia. Where'd you go? Hold on a second. She's going to be. Oh, okay. I mean, poor James. He's had to, roam his house to find a place that worked. Nixon Ryder says she was definitely wiped out from today. I'm glad you said that, Nixon. I've heard so many people say they were wiped out emotionally from the day. I mean, it was a really deep, significant, sacred energy day. And I hope everybody got to do some form of meditation. James, you did a wonderful meditation this afternoon for it. It was just wonderful.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So if you only see where I am right now, you'd flip out. Okay. I'm surprised about my pantry at this point.
I love you. You have a good pantry. Every room in your house is wonderful. So, oh my gosh. So yeah, this has been a crazy energy. Trey says brain fog and feeling energy bursts that aren't mine. And it has been draining. I agree, Trey. It's really interesting.
Yeah, in the afternoon, I was almost like 1 o'clock. I was exhausted. I'm like, why am I so tired? I've never been tired.
Yeah, that's what Holiday said. Why am I so tired? It's this energy. It's really a deep, deep, deep energy. But again, on every level, it's a sacred energy. So, and it means transformation, because it's in this in Vedic astrology. It's in Pisces, and it's in the 27th nakshatra. The 27th nakshatra is the final one. It's the last one in the last sign. So what it means is the end, and then the beginning. And so a lot of things, I mean, this is the kind of thing to look at, things that you are letting go of. If you've been, not taking very good care of yourself, certainly that would be something that you would, wanting to be doing right now. And it has to do a lot with, the way you view the world, because it's about changing changing our the consciousness. And if you've had an old pattern of like self-criticism or perfectionism or self-doubt, right now is the best time to let all of that go and start embracing self-acceptance and unconditional love. It's an extraordinary time, and I think that on the planet we're going to see a shift in a new consciousness and a new awareness. So this actually is an amazing thing. And the last thing I'll say is on April 20th, we have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and that is an extraordinarily powerful conjunction that brings a new awareness to the planet. We call it the Great Awakening, and I'll talk about that later on.
Wow.
Yeah, a powerful time to be alive. There you go. Are you set up now?
I'm in my studio, but I'm just sitting here. That's better. Yes, that's better.
Okay.
But I'm still on my phone, which is fine.
Well, let's bring in one of our dearest friends.
Our dear friend Janelle Campbell. Hi, Janelle.
Hi, Janelle. Thank you for being so patient.
Let me have a look at you, make sure it's real.
There you go, Janelle. I got my eclipse glasses.
We didn't get it here, of course. We're in the southern hemisphere, so I think it was like 4 a.m. or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But we're feeling the effects, aren't we, James? That's lovely.
I love to share, Janelle. I love to share.
I know.
You saw me pulling my hair out 5 minutes ago. Yes.
Yes, I know. It's lovely. We have a great time behind the scenes. People don't know.
They have no idea.
Keep it real. Keep it real.
Keeping it real, definitely. Very good. Well, Kel, I think we just got to, batten down, don't we, over the next couple of days?
Down. Exactly. We've got to batten down. And I mean, again, and it's funny because Janelle and I are teaching a class on star seeds.
When is that, Kellee?
May 10th. May 10th in the United States and May 11th
the 11th here
in Sydney.
Yes.
Yeah. And so star seeds really bring a different level of consciousness to the planet.
Sure do.
This is a perfect time, with this eclipse and the change of consciousness and the shift of everything. It's a perfect time.
Kellee, let me ask you a question. Star seeds. So you think right now with all these major changes that are happening, that the planet is filled with star seeds right now because of these happenings?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because before we incarnate, we have a vibration that we're going to bring into the planet. Mm-hmm. And so we would be ready, and star seeds are ready for this shift in energy. The thing with star seeds is the reason I think it's so important is that they need to know how important they are, because star seeds start to feel that they're not from here. They don't know why they're here. They don't want to live. They don't have any friends. They can't seem to get their life together. And what Janelle and I really want to tell them is that, this is what they come in to do. They come in to bring a shift in consciousness, a kindness, a warmth, a compassion that has been missing on the planet.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think too that we start to get a bit uneasy within ourselves when we start to awaken to these things that we've agreed to come here to learn, talk about, accept about ourselves. So,
and why do you think that happens? That's a great statement that you said. Why do you think it happens?
Well, I think because it's not the normal thing. It's not me just going to the shop or doing the thing or going to work. Other things start to rise from within us that we've forgotten about in our soul contract, and as part of star seeds and awakening is all part of that, and we get really uneasy because we can't control the essence that's moving within us. And of course, earthlings are such controlling little freaks. we can't handle it if I don't know exactly what's going on.
Right.
But I think so. Being interested, coming to a course or anything starts to pique your interest, and your soul starts to get excited.
Yeah. To have the memories, and you're going to do an incredible meditation.
Yes. Tell us about the program exactly, you guys. What's going to be happening during your program?
Well, Kellee's going to be talking about star seeds and all the different.
The origins and where you might possibly be from, and why you incarnated at this exact time to do this work. We're going to be talking about that. And James, we should tell you that Janelle, I did not know that Janelle loved starseed information, and I didn't know that.
Oh, and Janelle, she's not from here. She's not.
Okay. Oh no, I know she wasn't from here, but she was interviewing me for one of her projects, and I somehow brought it up, and she said,
"We exploded.
We exploded on this." And that's how we decided to have this class, because, James, we taught this class. You and I taught this class like 3 or 4 years ago. And it was a real big hit. Everybody loved it.
It's incredible. Yeah. And one of the things that people love the most was how they can recognize if they're starseeds and where they're from.
Exactly.
You'll be covering that as well.
Oh, we're going to be calling details of things, because I can look at somebody, I'm sure you can too, Janelle, and go, oh no, not only are you not from here, I actually know where you're from.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a recognition. Yeah.
And for those that are kind of new or just, starting to feel these things, I'm going to take them into the center of themselves and allow that opening of connection with their guides, their star being guides, and those that gather. So it's not just, a little bit of talk and information and learning. It's all of that. Plus, they're going to recognize from within themselves a real experience of what it is to be connected to
where they're from, their origin.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question for you, Janelle, if you don't mind me jumping in here. Excuse me. It just came to me. I have to say it before I forget it. So you're a medium. You've been a medium for a long time now, a very excellent medium. And do you find, I just want to ask this question, when you're communicating, right? So let's say you're communicating with everyday people, right? In the spirit world, spirits. And this is a weird question, but I'm going to give it to you because you're a weird lady. So when you communicate with star beings or guides from the luminous worlds, do you find within yourself you prefer to work with those everyday humans that have passed over, or the star beings that come in?
Oh my goodness. I think for me personally, as Janelle, the star beings and the guides and everybody, I love being a medium. I love working with, everyday people like all of us. But when you start to move into that realm, into that layer, it's a different layer of consciousness.
Yes.
And so we start to really, we get downloads, we get all sorts of information, but senses and feelings. And even in reading sometimes, and for very particular types of people, that sounds really awful, doesn't it? But they have stepped forward for their human, and they have stepped forward, the star beings. And when that first started happening, it was like, right, that's great. I've got an alien now, and they come in very strongly with their personalities and whatever. But I love working in an altered state, channeling, whatever you want to call it, and allowing that process.
And I don't know if Kellee, if this applies to you as well. I know Janelle does, and myself it did. In my development, I had many times in the circle where these beings of light would come in. They try to form themselves as humanoids, but they're not. And many students of mine say, I have these, and they're afraid to say it. I have these alien beings. Is that okay? Yes, that's okay.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, no, it absolutely happens with me, and I love it because I learn just as much. I'll get information, and I'll say I'll be in a session, and I'll say, "Wait a minute, I'm getting some information that I didn't have a clue about," and I'm so excited when this happens. And there's something magical that when you're working with starseeds, the guides, it takes you out above so much, and it's exciting, and you learn so much, and something about humanity. There's something about humanity with it that I just love.
It's I told this once before, but it's a great story. It's one of the my connection with Shirley MacLaine, which I started. I was very young, wondering about Shirley MacLaine, reading a book out in the limb, which got me started on my path. And I went to Brian Hurst, the medium that recognized it within me that I was a medium. And I remember there was a magazine called the Interview magazine from New York. It was called Interview, when Andy Warhol started it. And I remember that she was on the cover of it. This is way back in the early 90s. And Brian said to me, he said, "My guides are telling you to keep on doing your work as a medium. You're going to meet her one day." And of course, I did meet her one day, became good friends. And I did a reading for her when she turned 80. I went to her place in Malibu, did a reading. And it was like another other reading I ever did before in my life. All that came through are legions of beings, legions and leagues of beings. And of course, those are the words they use that the human could understand it. But they were all different types of legions that she was a part of. And I said, "Do you understand this?" She goes, "Oh, yeah." And the symbols, they gave certain symbols, certain replicas of symbols. And she said that she used to go in the desert with her husband in the 50s or 60s, and they used to see craft all the time. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, she was really a pioneer, James, with that.
Yeah, she was.
A lot of us wouldn't be here without her, I'll tell you.
Right. So. Wow.
But
That's so amazing.
I think it's fabulous. I mean, Australia, when I was out in Australia, Janelle, I started seeing a lot of what we want to call them light ships or ship vehicles, vessels, all over the place.
Sorry, lovely. You just froze. What was the question? Sorry.
I just said when I was down in Australia several times, I would see the starships everywhere. I call them starships because they're all over down. They're all over down there.
Yeah, they are. I every night I have a fascination, and have since I was a little girl, of going outside and looking up, like,
too.
and I didn't even know what that was, but it was just this calling.
Well, that's
to
a big trait, Janelle, for star
Yeah.
seeds. It's a huge trait. If anybody, that's one of the things that we'll talk about. If you have this thing, astrology, like I love looking at those planets. I love it. I want to see what's going on. And to me, astrology is a roadmap. And I think, and it's a star being roadmap.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of craft down here and phenomena, and it's becoming more and more accepted now. And once upon a time, we as mediums and psychics, we were like, the freaks of the universe. Well, now we're kind of ordinary. Not us, of course.
We'll never be ordinary, Janelle. Don't say that. We'll never be ordinary.
But it's normal, whatever
that is,
normal is.
Right.
But so now it's shifting, and I think there's an awakening and an awareness on the planet that there's shit out there that's definitely happening.
Oh, right, absolutely.
And I think as our consciousness shifts, our consciousness opens up and expands more. We open up to those higher levels of beings.
Exactly. And we see more. So the more our consciousness expands, the more we see those different vibrational frequencies. And it's the same with mediumship, really, isn't it?
It is.
It really is. It really is. Here's a question. This is from Stacy Hansen. She says, I'm wondering the same thing. How do you know if you are a star seed?
You have to go to the workshop.
Come to the workshop, because we're going to be talking. If you even ask the question, you probably are one.
That's right.
Exactly. And if you don't feel that you are, but you have a child that might be a little different, and perhaps has interesting friends, and there's all kinds of ways to tell if you're a star seed. So take the class if you can, everybody. It's going to be fabulous.
Right.
Yeah. I think too, you'll find that you'll start to settle within all these crazy thoughts you might be having. You'll start to settle and understand it and accept it.
Yes, yes. And most star seeds are empaths. So we'll just start with that.
So I have a question for Janelle.
Thank you, love.
So out of your guides that you have, that you're aware of the guides that you have, and I know they shift and change, how many of them are beings from those levels?
More than two. I can only say that because at different times in life, one will amplify a little more than another, and we find that with our guides anyway. They amplify and come forward at certain times. But I've certainly been aware of Pleiadian. I used to call her my Pleiadian princess, and she's still around. And if I start talking about that, the tingles start going and all of the thing. But and I know that there's also I'm pretty sure, and I can only say I think, a Zeta as well, from the Zeta Reticuli area, because he's shown it. I say he for that one, has shown himself to me subjectively, clairvoyantly, and he was very demure. The big eyes, the whole, I think they're called greys, I'm not sure, but just a very tiny, demure, kind of almost fragile looking being as he appeared and amplified. And I felt quite warm and surprised, but he was like a coppery brown kind of color. It was very, very strange. So, we had these moments, I think, and apart from the surprise in that second, we can go back into that space and start thinking about the experience and gleaning more from them. So I know there's those two. For sure.
Okay, I have a question for you both. I feel like I'm interviewing both of you, which is fine with me. Well, because this is just something I'm thinking about. So today I did a meditation, as Kellee knows, and it was on, for the eclipse. And I got my information from Ram Dass, a lovely man. And in part of the song I played today, he says in the song that we are, part of nature. We are the trees. We are the waterway. We are the flowers. We are everything. That's energy. We're part of all that. We are that. We are all that. We're all one. There's no separation. As a human being, we feel like what separate, that's the biggest illusion we have, is separativeness. But really, I'm just going to ask this both of you, your thoughts on, so if we are everything, then we are part of those star beings. We're part of those galaxies. We are them. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely, James. Absolutely, it makes total sense because and in fact, star seeds are the ones that planted the seeds on Earth.
I've heard that.
Which is really interesting.
So can you, in your work as mediums, right? Can you tune into that level of wisdom if you need to? Not that you're conscious of it, but that you download that when you have a client and maybe there's some high level information they need or something. You can bring that in, can't you, as a medium? Janelle?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Most definitely. And really, it's no different to communicating with a guide or allowing the thought of the guide. And we have to get out of the way, like we would go, oh my God, it's an alien, blah, blah, blah. We would, think all
in a million years.
I know it's lovely and gorgeous, but we have to move that part of us and just accept and go with it. I've had a reading a while ago with someone very, very interesting, working with small nuclear plants and all sorts of things. So a big time in the, anyway, blah, blah. And I became aware of another guide or another being that stepped forward just over there. And I said to the fellow, you have star being guides here, you have an ET with us. And he says, oh yes, I understand all of that. And the guide, or the being, said, we're watching with great interest. And because of what they were doing, and it's a big thing, big deal.
Right.
And so it was very interesting. And I don't think they like nuclear stuff. Just
I would agree with that.
I agree
don't
with that
think
100%.
they like it. So what I understood at that moment was, that, oh yes, well, they're looking after you, or they're blah blah blah, trying to help. But now I believe we're watching. Don't mess up, please, because it affects us. So it's really interesting. So
Janelle, I had a client not that long ago whose husband had passed. And as soon as he came through, my vibration starts to change and elevate on a lot of different levels. And I said, oh, you're not from here. And he told me, no, he wasn't from here. He was a starseed. And he said, but while he was here, he was a nuclear scientist.
Oh, wow.
And he was very concerned with what was going on and about getting his work published, and what needed his wife to make sure that she had gotten his work taken care of to a graduate student, because he said she wouldn't understand it, but it's got to get to a graduate student who understands it.
Wow.
It was a fascinating experience for me.
It is incredible.
I just heard in my head, and please forgive me, you guys, but I just heard that Einstein is trying to come through, but needs a great mind in order to facilitate that.
Wow, I could imagine.
Wow.
Might be me.
Wow, yeah, I was going to say, probably be my grandson.
Sorry, Albert.
But
it's true.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
wow.
It's very cool.
Because now let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, James, because how spirit would work is Einstein would need somebody that
the capacity of
that
needs to be expanded to such a point that they're able to receive that information on a higher, what I call a higher vibration, a higher level, that they're fully able to get it fully through the conceptual part of it, fully through, again, into that human too, to go down, 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 and they'll be understood. So I've talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about it again, if you don't mind. In Sedona, when I was there, and I talked to the Pleiades, the beings of Pleiades, and I'll never forget, it was the feeling I got, that sensation, that we're really trying to dumb it down. They got to bring it all the way down to like a 747 in the head of a needle. And it was like, that was the hard part, was bringing it down to that level so we humans could get it. It's just really amazing. The expansiveness of that is just beyond human comprehension.
So then probably what will happen, James, is that a starseed soul who's highly advanced will become a medium as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a medium and a therapist, so I can cover that, but I couldn't cover the scientific part. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's me, if it went through earlier, or to say the stars and the sun, whatever. But when you said that, I thought you meant when you pass into the spirit world that you'd be a medium, and that there are mediums over there to bring through information to mediums down here.
That could happen as well.
Maybe it goes, which I do believe it does, because we talk about our guides have guides who have guides. It's like a stairway. They go down the next level, down the next level, down the next level.
Well, it's all influence, isn't it? And expand part of the expansion. And like we were saying earlier, we are one.
We're all connected.
We are all connected.
And
And
I think the reason that starseeds are so important right now, and is because of Earth. Earth is going to be going through all kinds of shifts. With these planets right now, we're going to see earthquakes. We had a 4.8 earthquake on the East Coast. That's unheard of. Unheard of. Just a couple of days ago. It's unheard of. But I think that Earth is going to be making a lot of changes. And I feel that the starseed beings, you're right, you guys, that they would be concerned about the activity on this planet.
I think also that they'd be very concerned with the responsibility that humans don't do things. I think the responsibility I know they hate wars. Like, there's got to be a sense of responsibility of having a war.
Yes.
Like, why would you do that? And how could you hurt other human beings? We're all connected as one. When you're hurting one, you're hurting us. You're hurting everyone. We're all hurting if you hurt one human being. So just get that awareness out to the humans on this earth is a big deal, but we need to do that because by hurting one, you're hurting all of us.
Exactly. And we feel it, we as empaths feel it and understand it. And it's very disheartening.
It really is.
The point where you just almost give up, So.
Well, I think it's the evolution of the planet. As Kellee often says, we come back for these reasons. We've chosen to come back here. But I do think that there are certain things that we could say destiny, but I do think that human beings make those choices. And those choices that they make may not be good choices. Maybe it's from the ego. Maybe it's from that power. Maybe it's a tough one. It's a real tough. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, for God's sake. It really is.
It is, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all turns out, isn't it?
But and
as we go,
if it's a war, and if there are wars, I think there will be a war. I think we have to, within ourselves, have that sense of relationship, who we are, and that we are souls having this human experience. That love is the only way. We can't be in fear. We can't be in fear because fear is not going to do anything. It's going to hold everything back. But love has got to be the only way out.
And that's what's got to expand. The awareness of love, the consciousness of empathy, the consciousness of compassion, that's got to expand. And that we're greater than just this, we're the sum of the parts here.
Exactly. And we do count. We don't think we count, or what is one voice or what is one sentiment. But really, like you say, James, thoughts are things. And thoughts are things and they permeate the universal frequency. And so that expands too. So it's our job to think, oh, well, let's give it a go. So we move into the center with prayerful thought and openness and heart. And that then starts to affect everything and not the anger that we see on certain parts of the planet.
It's the rippling effect, Janelle.
Totally.
So whenever I see a television show or news or whatever about war, I send love. Anything about negativity, I turn on the positivity. I send love to that newscast or that person hurt by war. I'll just send love. I call pink lighting. I'll send unconditional love, pink lighting to them. Change the frequency because it's that rippling effect. We're all connected to it.
Exactly. Totally.
I love that.
It's our responsibility as empaths and mediums down here to help with bringing that energy to people and to open up that space for people. And everybody has a choice. Every single individual has a choice. They want to live in fear. They want to live in love. And it can be pretty scary, but I think fear is more scary than love.
Love is scary. But that's another story. That's another show.
Another show, Janelle. Another show.
Oh, sorry.
I have to tell you guys, I had a very funny experience, but I'm sure, Janelle, I'm curious if you've had this experience, and James, I'm curious if you've had this experience. I did a reading, a couple of weeks ago, for a woman who I did not know. She came to see me, and her husband had passed. Her husband came right through, and he starts with apologizing. Now, in my mind, I thought, I'm trying to move myself out of the equation. Is he apologizing because he died suddenly? Because he tells me he died suddenly, he's in a car accident, and he dies, and he's gone. And and I said to her, oh, he's very, very sorry about that way he passed. And she said, And I said, and now he's talking about a box in the closet, a box with, it's an orange box. It's got some sort of not a ring, it's like a bracelet inside with initials. And she said, yes, that's right. And I said, and I heard him say, this is what this is about. And I go, oh, was there an indiscretion? And she said, you bet there was. And I'm so mad at that son of a bitch. And I hate doing counseling between, couples. I can't stand couples counseling. As a therapist, I can't stand it. So now I'm doing couples counseling with this,
I know, it's crazy.
And then I said, he's telling me though that you have you're involved with somebody. And she said, very proudly, I am. And I was laughing so hard. And then I said to her, do you realize and do you understand that with his indiscretion, because he was having an affair and he dies suddenly, and I understand the betrayal piece of it, but there is, and this is where the part of as a medium that you work with compassion and understanding, I said, I just want to give you another lens to view this situation. It's possible that you in another lifetime had this experience and did this to him.
Yeah.
It's very possible. And she said, really? And I said, yeah, it's a possibility here. And I said it because it had to be clear between this energy, this anger and all of this for what?
Yeah.
It was kind of
More
fascinating.
than likely, it was a past life. More than likely, draw that
Yeah.
to us to even out the balance of the karma. So more
Yeah.
than likely, she was responsible too. So she's got the responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it
We
was
don't know
something.
that when we're in our human form, do we? We don't know that going
No.
through it.
And I'm just the medium. Don't shoot me. I'm just the medium here.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Shoot the messenger, for God's sakes. Oh, God.
I've had it too, Kel, and we go a bit off here, but the husband came through from the spirit world, and then they'd had, all these problems, breakups and indiscretions and all sorts of things. And he was very disinterested in her when he was here, and he's apologizing left, right and center.
Right.
And she just looked at me and I'm laughing.
Right.
Terribly professional. And she slammed her fist down on the table and she said, I don't care if he's coming through from wherever he's coming from. He didn't give an F about me when he was alive, and I don't give an F about him now that he's dead. And I started laughing. And he's going, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
See what I was dealing with.
It's so weird, and she just didn't care. And I said, look, mate, I'm really sorry. We can't, just hang out, just see what happens. But yes, we do have these funny, it's serious but funny at the same time.
I mean, they get so involved in the human part of themselves. I mean, it's hysterical. It's like people say to me, it's happened for you guys too, where their parents were married for 50 years. Well, your mother said she's not with your father anymore. What do you mean they were together 50 years? Well, they don't belong together anymore. Well, what do you mean? She's going to a different place and he's in a different place. They're finding their, I don't understand that. Well, there's a big world out there, worlds out there.
Well, they've met up with somebody that they hated in life, and there was a big thing. It's part of being a medium, and people, we learn so much. That's how we learn our craft, to be perfectly honest, is experiencing these things. And we do meet up with our enemies, or people we hated in life or hated us.
Well, let me ask you, have you had this experience, Janelle? And I know, James, you and I have had this experience. I'm sure you had it, where a soul comes in, you're doing your reading, a soul comes in, I have so-and-so here, and he says, I don't want to see him.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of times you do that.
I had a lady. This is a really funny story. When I was in Brazil, I brought a lot of people to Brazil. This lady named Magda Best. And Magda Best, about 4'5", Hungarian lady. She studied metaphysics for 30 years. She taught metaphysics. What a character! A real character. Lived at the top of the Topanga Canyon, Kellee.
Oh, I was just going to say where all the ETs are, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her husband did he came up with Samsonite luggage. One of his patents was Samsonite luggage, the shopping cart, so on and on and on.
Wow.
I'll never forget that she said to me, I was at a demonstration in Burbank, and a lady came through, and it was her sister. She wants to say to Magda. She goes, yes, that's my sister. She's sitting in the audience. She goes, that's my sister. But I didn't like her in life. I don't want to see her now. Send her back.
Send her back.
It's great, isn't it? I know.
It's hysterical. But what do you guys do?
And it's an opportunity it's probably an opportunity that the spirit woman, the sister, wants to say, I'm sorry. She wants to apologize. They really work hard. As May used to say, we work for them. We don't work for the living. We work for the spirit.
That's right.
And it's an opportunity for them to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me,
Yeah.
because that's why we do mediumship. We do work for them, not for the living. But it's an interesting quandrum, you know, when that happens to us.
Sure is. And they all apologize invariably.
Right.
Every single person that comes through apologizes.
Yeah.
So get used to it, kids. We're all going to be apologizing once we've taken off
It's
into
so
this.
true.
Yeah, they all apologize, you know, for whatever. So
Do you
it
guys
really-
ever have this one where they'll say, well, I'm waiting for the special secret word that we're going to have?
Oh my God.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yes.
Okay.
You've told them everything else on
Right.
the planet, but not
Yeah.
the bloody word.
But the
that they have
secret
to stick with.
word
Oh my
is,
God.
I actually said the secret word once. Swear
Oh.
to God, it just came out that whatever the secret word was.
Yeah.
And I was just going on and on with whatever. And she stopped me and said, that's the secret word. I said, what? Because I said so much, you know, it was
Yeah.
like that one bluebell. I don't know, whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
It was
same thing
pretty
with me.
funny.
I did a TV show once, and I got a secret word from a kid, and the kid's the father's son, and the father went crazy, and I'm like, he had so much great information, evidential information, but it's that one word, and he believed it. I was like, but what about all the other things about your father's?
Yeah, exactly. They miss it, but
I
But
know.
perhaps there's something in it that they will think about, you know, later on. And it's true of any reading, you know.
Well,
perhaps that's-
don't you get that where people will send you an email later and say,
Yeah.
wow, you know, I thought about this, 2 weeks went by and,
Yeah.
you know, this, and this, you were
Yeah.
right on this,
Yeah.
and this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I talked about this before, Kelly, and Janelle, you've heard this story, but it's such a great story. When I was in Canada once, my first tour there, I forget what city it was, must have been 1,000 people in this ballroom. And the first reading up was a man who came through and he said, my son is here, and I'm the first person in Canada to have a liver transplant, and my son has my chessboard. And I looked, and no, that's pretty specific.
That's
I
very
looked at the audience,
specific.
no one raised their hands. No one raised their hand. And I'm like, I know what I'm hearing. I know what I'm getting.
Right.
No one raised their hand. And for you to have to leave a spirit in that place, as you guys know, it's a horrible thing.
Horrible.
Oh, horrible.
Horrible. So I moved on, which I never do. I didn't want to. At
In
the
front
end
of
that-
1,000 people, James.
in front of 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
In front of 1,000 people. So you got to really know yourself. So at the end of the demonstration, 2 hours later, I went and I did a book signing. And the first person up was this guy who said, well, that was pretty amazing of my father. I said, your father? Yeah, the first reading with the liver transplant. That was my father, and I was chessboard. And I said, well, why didn't you say something? He said, well, you knew it was him, and I knew it was him. So that's all that
Oh
mattered.
my God.
And I
Okay.
kicked him out of the ballroom. I said, goodbye.
Okay, I don't know if you guys
You
remember
want to
this,
punch them.
but wait a minute. I don't know if you remember this, but when we were in Alaska, the three of us did a link. We did a few of them.
Yes.
And I started the first link. And I said, I have a woman here who has a baby at 16. And I was pretty specific about 16.
Very specific.
And 16, she has a baby, and there's a lot of what is the word for it? She felt, you know, really awful about the fact that she had a baby at 16. A lot of not guilt, but just she just felt, I don't know, just awful about it. Shame, that's the word. There was a lot of
Shame.
shame around it. And I kind of went through all of this, and then one woman raised her hand and said, well, my mother had me at 17. And intuitively, I knew that wasn't the woman, but nobody was, and I kept saying, are you sure it's that? And nobody other than this other woman. Well, after the reading, James, and I don't know if you remember this, you guys, you might remember this. A woman came up to me and said, it was me.
Yes.
It was me, but my mother, I was, you know, there's so much shame around it. I couldn't even raise my hand. Now, this is a different generation. She couldn't even raise her hand. What are you going to do?
And she was crying.
She was crying and
emotional.
sobbing and all of this.
Yes,
That's
she
right.
was. And, you know, I kind of went, well, you know, and walked.
Yeah, I mean, right. Time for a drink. We need
But
some
then you want to
champagne now.
continue the reading then. Oh, can you continue on? No.
Yeah, I mean, it was like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're a
Funny.
medium, many of these things happen, everybody. And
Exactly.
it's part of mediumship. Welcome to mediumship. You're dealing with
Yeah.
humans. It's really
But
not, it's not an easy job.
It's not an easy job, but how fun is it to do triple links?
Oh, I
Oh,
love
it's
it.
great fun. We had a lot of fun, and we call it fun, but it's and it is, and but it's really amazing how that works too, isn't it? You know, we walk into the infinite, and it's quite easy just to step into that frame. And,
What a beautiful saying. I love
yeah.
that, Janelle. I'm going to remember that.
Yes, we'll have to find the recording and I'll see what it says. But it's true, and we do walk into that, and you know, your students are amazed. You know, I remember starting to teach double links or whatever to students, and they would go, "Can you do that?"
Yeah.
And I'd go, "Yes." You know, it's just you're just working in the same vibration. You're in the same field, so just start listening and sensing. You know, and working with one another, so.
And the funny thing is, Janelle, which is really, people should know that in a double link and a triple link, that the spirit people will use the different aspects of the medium. So there are different life experiences and so forth that one medium has that the other one doesn't. And the spirit will use all those different aspects. And that's why it makes it so full and such a solid message when you get all those aspects together.
Yeah, because we all three have different messages. Yeah,
exactly. And it's still the same person and a different aspect of that one human. And so think about, as students, we are not cardboard cutouts. We have so many layers and so many life experiences and personalities, depending on what's going on. So the spirit people are the same. They've had exactly the same experiences. Why would they just be, 5'8" and blue eyes and whatever? But how boring!
Oh my gosh!
I tell my students that when they're doing work, that picture like you're painting a portrait of someone, and the colors of the paints that you use have all different degrees of that color of paint. So the shadowing and the texture of that paint color are their personality traits as your portrait, painting that portrait, and you have to bring that in. And very, very true. Speaking of mediumship, by the way, I just remembered everybody. My Mediumship 1 class is 50% off right now for the next day on my school. Mediumship 1, Mediumship 1 certification. I just remembered. It's the Mediumship certification number 1. Oh, Renee has it on there. Okay.
50% off. That's incredible.
Off. Yeah, because so many people want to do it. And I just want to throw this at them in the beginning of the spring, and a new life. And as you know, mediumship to me, I'm sure you guys, it fulfills your life in so many ways. It's just so fulfilling. Nothing like it.
Deeply fulfilling. There's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it.
No. And you change. If you don't change, you're not doing it right.
So
true. Your soul changes. You learn who you are. You have to change. Yeah, that's a great one, Janelle. If you don't change, and you have to know, it teaches you who you are very quickly.
Sure does. And, a lot of people are, we've all had life experiences and we're going through trauma, et cetera, et cetera. And but we can still work on our mediumship and our soul aspect, and while we're healing. And, it helps us heal along the way. We have greater understanding. So if you're drawn, and I'm not talking psychotic or really bad sort of stuff that we can go through, and Kellee knows all about that. But along the way, we can be going through trauma or loss and grief and still experiencing an awakening and an opening. And I think that partly is part of the plan too. So, nurture yourself, that's for sure, but accept these extraordinary, miraculous things that are going on as well.
Well, and on Earth, when we incarnate, we're going to have experiences like, we'll have some traumas, we'll have some betrayals, we'll have some, illnesses, we'll have some things to grow.
Part of being human.
It's part of being human. It's really the human experience, and it really does open us up. It cracks us open, James.
Yeah,
for many events.
We're all cracked. It's okay.
We're all cracked. Coming up with book titles, and but it's all about our growth and what have we learned from these experiences.
That's very true.
Very true.
What do you expect, Janelle, in your mediumship coming up in the future? How do you want to see your mediumship in the future? What do you expect? What do you wish to see in the mediumship, or how is it going to evolve, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's certainly expanding in ways that I never thought. Well, the thing is, you don't know what you don't know, do you? And once you start on the journey, it's a case of, this stuff's happening and let me try and figure it out. But as you move through the years of it, and it's not a 6-month course and you're on, it's, it's years. Years, it's a life, it sure is. But other things start to open up, and your awareness of what the world is, and I'm not talking about the physical world, I'm talking about, the etheric and the whatever this matrix is that we are. And I just feel that for me, that expansion will continue into the wonderment of all that there is. Now, I know that, it's probably not going to happen in one lifetime, and I don't know that answers the question easily, but there's no limit.
Let me throw this at you then, since you just said that. it opens up that wonderment, and then maybe does that set up you in the next lifetime that you come back and continue?
Oh, yes.
You continue where you were. You continue living.
Yes. I was speaking to a friend only a few days ago, and I was saying I'm setting things up now that I'm going to be hopefully looking forward to in a future life. And it's not so much that, oh, yes, I want this and, the physical stuff we want. It's my spirit. I'm setting up my soul, my purpose, my journey, and the way I want to be. And so I'm setting that up for a future destination. And who's to say that future destination isn't calling out to me to
That's
say,
right.
start thinking about it now, because in 300 years, we're going to be working together,
No, that's very true. And your future destination may not be Earth.
That's right. Oh, it won't be.
I can tell you right now. No can do.
I think we have come from that other place anyway. Often when I work with people in an altered state or whatever, channeling, they'll remind us, they want to remind the audience or the people that you are not from here. Remember that. You are not from here. And it's to get everyone out of that earthly, physical, kind of materialistic state of mind.
Yeah. Here's a question, and this is from Yogi Kotecha. Dear speakers, as your mediumships were developing, as your skills were developing, did you need to sit with a message for a couple of minutes before communicating the right message?
Not so much, because we're a conduit. When you're first learning, sometimes you want to edit the information. You want to run it through your brain and say, can I accept that? Is that okay to say? And of course you learn to loosen that hold. But now we're a conduit, and I just allow the thoughts and feelings and sentiments to come forward as they are. But do no harm.
What do you think, Kellee?
Initially, when I first began, I would edit the messages because I was always concerned with the feelings of the other person and how they were going to respond and all this. And now it's slowed down enough, and I don't know how to say this exactly, but it's slowed down enough and fast enough at the same time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It slows and fast at the same time here. And that helps me to just let the message out.
For me, it's I find now it's a fullness of the message. I have to bring through the exact emotional component of the fullness. It's my job now as a medium. I get that message to really try to bring as much fullness of that emotional charge that the spirit is bringing into that message, and the fullness of that message to be presented. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's always an emotion behind the messages, and I have to be able to bring that as much as I can, that emotional charge with that message. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it expands as you become more confident.
Yeah.
And, your confidence does play a big role.
But it's also, Janelle, something interesting in that what you said, which is you pause. I think pausing is every once in a while very good to do, in that you as a medium are learning as you're going as well. Yeah. So it'll be often like, wow, I love it. Inside I was like, wow, it's so great. That's so cool to hear that. Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. That's what it's all really. Yeah, I think so. We learn. We're part of the learning environment.
It's an art of discovery. We always got to be willing to discover new things with every single message that comes through.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe we should take, I've got to take this question. How does one move themselves out of heavy grief and loss to be able to receive a message?
Wow.
That's a hard question.
Well, we've all experienced that. And sometimes when you're caught up in the physicality of it, and definitely grief and trauma is a big deal. And we have to experience that in the human component. Exactly. But as you start to, sometimes you can actually observe it as well. I found with myself that I would step out of the situation and go, oh man, this is too overwhelming. So I would just breathe and then step out of it and just observe. And I would just say things like, wow, this is what grief feels like, or this is what trauma feels like. And then that starts to allow the heart to open little by little and show you the way forward. And so once you can start to get the mind out of the way, the physical out of the way, you'll find that your guides and everybody's there, the person you've lost, they're all there waiting anyway. They're all trying to get information through. So you have to then just look, I don't know, for signs and whatever it is. So
I think you're 100% right. Exactly what you said. I was going to say, but say it differently. Exactly the same thing. That humanness, we have to. It's part of the human experience. Grief.
Yeah.
And we got to realize that it shouldn't hold us back. That it is an experience for us to go through, not stay at, but go through it. And of course, you validate your love for that person. But as you said, the most important thing is that there is no end. You'll see them again, and that's the most important thing. Your love continues on. There is no end to love. Love continues on.
Yeah. Grief is love anyway. Love is grief. Grief is love. So
Very true.
loss. Yeah. So, but you can do it. It does work.
It does. And it's hard. It's a hard one. It's a real tough one. Even losing a child. I think one of the hardest lessons on the earth is losing a child.
Yeah, I think
I
so
really
too.
do. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
That's the big one. Here's a question from Patricia Stenko. She says, do our loved ones miss us?
I think they do. I like to think that because I have loved ones that I miss, but I think they miss the physical as well. You know, I can't touch you physically. You know, they miss that, and but they can reach us in other ways. So, my short answer is yes, but they're not grieving. They're not going through the trauma that we might be going through, and they don't like us experiencing that.
No, they don't.
But yeah, they don't. And the sooner we can move through, it's easier.
It lightens them up too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It lightens them. So that is my story.
Yeah, they do miss us. I mean, I agree totally. They miss us. It's so funny because they're outside of time. Time means nothing to them. And then I have a connection with someone I did the reading for in the early 90s. And I don't know, I thought about them one day and they came back really quickly and said, oh, James, it was so long ago. It was such an old memory ago. But, you know, they're still a part of us, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the greatest things that happen when we pass to the other side, we see them again and relive old memories. Memories are real. Memories can only be created down here, not in the spirit world. So we bring those memories with us when we go over.
Right. Yeah. And Debbie Wallace says, do they feel and hear our prayers?
Always.
Oh, yes.
Oh, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times stronger. They hear it really well. It's really like amplification.
Yeah. And they often, sorry, James, in a reading, they'll often say that, you know, that's how I've heard your thoughts at night or whatever, you know, and it's definitely, they hear everything.
They hear everything. Yeah. They don't miss a thing. Anna Franquez says, can our loved ones in spirit see us all the time or only when we call on them?
No.
They see us all the time.
Yeah.
They're around.
They're around.
Get used to it. You know, get used to it. They're around all the time.
They're around.
Yeah.
You're always being looked at from one way or another, folks.
Yeah.
So let yourself be great. You're never alone. They're always seeing things.
It's actually not possible to be alone. When I was seen through the veil, nobody is alone. It's actually not possible.
Yeah, it's true.
No.
Very true.
So, yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Sometimes I wish we were alone, but we're not alone.
I know. But I think in those personal, private moments, you kind of have to switch that off and just say, you know, the door is closed now, fellas.
Right. I think they respect us sitting on the toilet. I think they do respect that.
They do.
Because they're not interested in those things. They're just not.
No, it's not about that. No.
It's funny. A lot of my friends that have passed over and loved ones, I try to get them in and they say, oh, I said, well, where have you been? I'm really busy over here. I don't have time.
Yeah,
I'm really busy. All right.
I'm really busy. What do you think? I'm going to school. I'm doing work. I'm helping this
I'm going to a concert.
Going to a concert.
I'm going to the museums.
Going to school. Yeah, they're busy over there. It's a busy world.
We have to take a ticket, don't we?
We do. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is
very true.
This is great. Well, okay, everybody. I just want to make sure that if you want to take our class with Starseeds with Janelle, it is May 10th in the United States, May 11th in Australia. If you cannot attend live, purchase it, and then when we are going to record it. And once it's purchased ahead of time, we will send it to you after we have recorded it. So please join us for Are You?
Is it on Facebook, Kellee?
It's going to be on Zoom. On Zoom. So anywhere in the world can watch it. It's going to be great. And James, you've got a class, your mediumship 50% off
50%
tonight?
mediumship 1 certification course right now. So go to JP School of Mystical Arts, and I'll be at your course as well.
Yay! Oh, that's going to be
good.
so fun. Oh, that's
That's
going to be
good.
great, James. We're going to love that.
Yeah.
We're going to love that. Oh my gosh. Well,
As long as
thank
you
you.
behave.
Yeah. Or not. Well, thank you, Janelle, so much for being
Thanks,
on
Janelle.
tonight.
Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
And
As
stay on,
always.
Janelle. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
James.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.
The James and Kellee Show.